Hi, welcome back to the channel, and it's here, arguably the most anticipated synth in history, and that is of course Zebra 3. So this video is essentially going to be split into two halves. The first part, I will make a sound in Zebra 3, and while doing so, obviously I'll explain some of the functions, and then the second half is going to be quite controversial, unfortunately. And that is because I'm going to go through the reasons why I really don't get along with Zebra, and especially Zebra 3. And I want to make it absolutely clear, I'm not doing it for any stupid internet, YouTube, algorithm driving crap. It's just my opinion, and absolutely feel free to disagree with me. In fact, I think most of you will. So let's get started then. Well, in the left we have our oscillator, in the middle we have essentially a mod matrix, and over to the right we have our modulators. So let's obviously do something with our oscillator. Let's go down to the bottom here. We have these 6 types of waveforms. Let's go across to here and we'll choose this little ziggy saw thing. Let's turn it down an octave. To do that we have to come into this menu here. Well, let's morph through that. Let's now add a filter because the filters sound fantastic. So to do that we click on the matrix and it pops up this menu to the right and we would choose filter 1. Or to be honest, they're all the same. So we just choose the first one in the available list if you like. Consider it like modules. Once you've chosen one you can't then re-choose it. And the filters, probably my favorite bit, they sound absolutely fantastic. Now to choose the variant of that, click in the middle here, and we'll bring up this awesome little matrix. Now I really like the way this is done, because as you can see there must be, there must be 50 types of different filters possible with this matrix. So we can choose, for example, we can go a ladder filter, bandpass, with a 12 dB slope. Bit of drive. But let's go with, I'm going to go with the state variable bandpass. And ramp up that drive, I really like it. Quite some girth that has. Let's add a bit of modulation to that next. So let's go down to the bottom, we'll go LFO 1. And we'll drag him across to the cutoff, and by doing that it drops down or opens up this LFO1 here. Let's flick over to the matrix, and now we have the modulators down the bottom here, so we can turn this depth up. I might change this to a sample and glide. 2/1 I think, slew will turn up. Maybe a bit faster, I don't know. Let's go something like 1/8 dotted. While we're here, let's add a bit of filter FM. And we've accidentally created a didgeridoo. Let's now add one of my favorite modules, that's the FMO module. We'll put that after the oscillator and before the filter. Let's adjust the envelopes. Sustain can stay all the way up. Decay doesn't need to be there. We'll drop the attack down, and then we'll extend the release also. Really getting somewhere now. Time for some effects, I think. So here we have this, once again, this matrix down here with 4 lanes. We have lane 1 is the main channel, then we have 3 sends. First up, let's put some delay. We'll put that on the send, delay 1. Let's go with 1/4 dotted perhaps. It's on a send, so we'll turn the dry wet all the way up. We'll turn the return for 2 all the way up. We'll do 3 while we're here also, and then we'll turn the send of 2 off. And then on 3, we'll put reverb 1. Once again, dry wet all the way up because it's on ascend. Lush does sound good, but I think in this context we'll leave it on classic. Let's put a comp on the main, compressor 1, threshold down a bit, ratio doesn't have numbers, but let's do it by ear. And let's also put a bit of modulation in. So mod effects 1, or mod effects, is where you choose between the chorus, flanger, and phaser. Let's leave it on the phaser, I think that's working quite well. And let's also add, what next? A comb filter perhaps. Almost there. I think let's add another LFO, and we'll put this one on the pan. Yeah, let's go simple. 1, 2, 3 over 1. Go to the matrix, turn the depth of that up. Let's add some more voices now. Let's go with 4, detune up. So there we go, it does obviously sound fantastic, but let's get on to some of the things I don't like about it. And I'm just going to repeat myself again, just for absolute clarity. I'm not trying to be controversial, I'm not trying to annoy anyone, this is just my opinion. Another thing I want to say, obviously it sounds fantastic, because countless movie scores have been made with it. To say anything else is just being stupid and idiotic. My complaints, however, are with the workflow. And the workflow, I think, is absolutely atrocious. It has potentially the best sound ever from a soft synth, married with possibly the worst workflow ever of any soft synth. And another thing to point out, most of these comments are related to Zebra 2 and potentially before that also. This isn't specifically Zebra 3 feedback. So the first thing to say, let's go to our oscillators. Get into oscillator 1. We have 6 oscillators here. Don't forget, this is Yuhi's flagship synth. This is priced at the absolute top tier of soft synth. And we have 6 waveforms here. The first thing I did when trying to create a patch yesterday was I went here, I thought let's start with the sources. I went here and I thought, where do I load the additional waveforms? Turns out you don't. This is your lots. You can edit them here. You can go up and you have some incredibly advanced editing some parameters. This is just mind-blowing what you can do here. But where are the presets? Where are hundreds of waveforms that are already created to show off what this can do? There should be a preset menu up here where I can select them. But at the moment, we only have 6. And while we're on limitations, let's go to our effects here. In this patch, which is one of the most basic patches you could create with this synth, we have Mod Effects 1. We can add Mod Effects 2. So now we have a phaser and a chorus. But what if I want a flanger? Nope, I'm out. There is no Mod Effects 3. And I just don't understand why there's a limitation on it. Why do you have the numbers moduled and limited? Why not do a serum and let me add whatever I want? And the same applies to these modules here. So let's click in the middle here, we'll add a module. We have 4 oscillators. Now obviously that makes sense because we have 4 lanes here essentially. We have 4 FMOs. We have 2 noise. Like, why are you limiting this? Now in reality, you're probably not ever going to need more than 4 filters here or more than 4 comb filters, but don't limit it. Have that flexibility for me to decide. Serum is able to do it, so I don't understand why you would intentionally put these constraints on. And the next one, you're definitely going to laugh at, and that's fine. But if you're making a flagship product, if you want to demonstrate quality, you need to be thorough. And when we have EQ 1 and 2 here, don't start comb here, put comb on the next row. And then behind that, if we look here, we have these little kind of gray blocks. That just looks like something that is wrong with the image. Hopefully that will get fixed after the beta, because at the moment it looks terrible having these little gray blocks behind it. I don't really know what they're for. And that's better demonstrated here. So you've got other, and then behind it you've got another grey block. I don't really understand the point of that. It just looks terrible. Let's close out of that. But let's now, instead of using LFO1, maybe I want to change that to one of the maths modules. This little arrow here should be where you change the module. Having this little arrow as these options? Really? How often am I going to use those? Or if you're not going to use that, you should be able to right click. And instead, if I right click, I change the zoom. And I can change the zoom anywhere on the screen. Like seriously? You do it up here. Right click on the title and then you change the zoom, or in the menu. Don't have it clickable all the way through the interface. That's just completely illogical. Also, while we're talking about right clicking, you have this space down the bottom here, and it's even bigger when you don't have any modules. Right click, as you can see, does nothing. That is where you should be able to add the module. Which brings me on to the way this interface should be designed. We have 4 lanes here. Great concept. Love it. But let's add a separate lane. We'll add an oscillator 2. That's going through on its separate lane, as you can see here. The channel is all the way, it's completely discrete from this one. But the oscillator on the left here has been added under oscillator 1. It makes no sense whatsoever. And to make that even more confusing, they're both colored orange. Orange obviously because it's the oscillator, but these lanes at the very least should be different colors so you know which one is which. It gets worse because if I click on this module, it doesn't do anything. Whereas if you do on this, the matrix, if I click on the module, it puts a little circle around so I know which one I'm on, but it doesn't work the other way around. If I click on oscillator 2, it doesn't highlight this in the matrix here. Now at this point I should point out some of these potentially are beta issues, but I'm going to say the majority aren't. They're just the way this is designed. Now that we have our module, let's say I want to swap this for a noise oscillator. Well, rather than right clicking or clicking here or doing something else, I have to remove, then I have to click on it again, and then I choose noise oscillator. Why is it 2 clicks for that? It should simply be 1. Now, like I said, I went off on a bit of a tangent, but the way this interface should be designed, we have 4 lanes, and then we have our modulators here. This should be split into 5 columns. We have column 1, 2, 3, and 4, essentially replicating this, but in a detailed version. So oscillator 1, oscillator 2, 3, and 4, followed over to the right here by the modulators. Then, if you wanted to get the overview, then you would click on this little section, a button up here to the right, that will then bring up this overview. Because at the moment, all this is doing, this is just replicating what's on the left. I don't need to see this if I've already got this detail to the left. But then how do I add modules, I hear you ask? Well, like I said earlier, you should have to right click and add our module there. Let's now add a distortion module. Now this one I'm quite certain it's just a beta issue. This module is obviously a different format than these ones. It's red, it's not grey, and it's not the full width. I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt here and say that this will be resolved in the final version. But then we go to type, and we have 4 basic modes. Soft clip, hard clip, fold back, and corrode. Where's bit crushing, and where's tape saturation, and a stomp box, etc. 4 algorithms in a flagship synth, just terrible. Let's now say in this patch here, let's say I want to bypass this comb. I'm not quite sure I like it, and I want to bypass it. There is no option to do that on this module. This is where I am. This is where the cursor is. This is where the mouse is. I should be able to bypass it here. Instead, I have to go all the way over here and do comb, and then we'll do deactivate. And then it disappears from here, but I don't want that. I just want the sound to be muted. I can see it here, but that's not very clear at all. I just want it temporarily muted. Let's now say I want the comb module to be above the FMO. Well, you'd expect to be able to drag it. Nope, you can't do that. You need to do it over in this matrix here like so. Once again, why? My cursor is here, this is already circled, this is highlighted, I should be able to drag it. The same applies to the effects. Let's say I want this second mod effects, I want the chorus in front of the phaser. I can't drag it across. Why? This is workflow 101. Instead, I have to drag it up like so. I don't want to keep on moving the cursor from where I currently am over to the matrix, either be it this one or be it that one. And while we're on the effects, let's say I want to mute channel 1 effects. Why can't I click on this button to mute the effects? Similarly, the returns 1, 2, and 3. Instead, I have to turn down the send levels, but there should just be a simple mute to mute this lane. Similarly on the modules, I have to go here, deactivate to deactivate that module. I don't want to deactivate it, I just want to temporarily mute it. Also while we're here, where are all the presets for the effects? We can save them, but I don't see any available. Now once again, you can say this is just a beta, and I fully respect that, but it doesn't take much to give 2 or 3 presets, just to demonstrate what is possible. So overall then, how do I feel about it? Frustrating is the word. I can absolutely see the potential, the sound is there, but the workflow is just, like I said earlier, horrific. And for anyone who says, well in my day, we only had a mono synth with 1 oscillator and a low pass filter. Yes, I was also there, but we don't live in that era anymore. So, sorry yours, you're a lovely guy, but this isn't doing it for me, I'm afraid. And once again, if anything I've said there is wrong, then absolutely correct me, because I want to like this thing. I want to use it. I want to love it. So if I'm wrong, please tell me. And another thing, I'm genuinely not trying to shit in anyone's breakfast cereal. If you like this, then I'm absolutely happy for you. It's just not for me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.